Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Judas McGavin here, bringing you my Clockwork City StamSorc build. Get right into the sets. We are running the Asylum Battle Axe, Disease Enchant, Neuroned, really good, generates so much ulti, can't go without it this patch. I was trying to run Spriggans, combining some other sets, but in terms of what I've found out from the tests, this is just really good. I'll attach some clips at the back end of the video just to show you some examples of the ulti gen. But yeah, the Asylum's Battle Axe. Next we've got the Master's Bow. really amazing. You get this from the VDSA Dragonstar Arena. Change from last patch, so then one piece now based on the poison arrow, increased damage by 301. I've got this infused for the crazy eye weapon damage increase as well. I have run poisons instead of the enchant. I think 452 weapon damage is great, but in that 5-second window a lot can go wrong. So I'd prefer to start burst with a double dot poison. Scales really well with Thermitage from the CP tree, and in terms of the burst setup I've been finding this a lot better. So monster set we are running is Slime Craw. Really good for your crit, and the Minor Berserk is absolutely fantastic. In terms of the proc sets, in my opinion, Celine's is just way too slow, doesn't crit, doesn't do enough damage. Veladreth I've tried, but it procs on Poison Inject on bow, doesn't close down the target too well. If I was running Sword and Board, Veladreth would be an option, but right now I'm preferring Slime Craw. The 8% is absolutely amazing. It works on everything. It works on your dots, it works when things crit, it works on the bleeds. The bleeds on this build is amazing. So much unseen damage, it's unreal. So that's the reason why I went with good old Slime Craw there. The 5th piece, 5 body pieces, and we have those as Impen and Reinforced. Yeah, that needs changing. Next set piece, Bone Pirate. Really strong set. In terms of the drink you run it with the Dubious Cameron, but really good all-round stamina set for a medium set. Really love it. So I've got the Bone Pirate on the chest, the waist, the hands, legs and the feet, and I'm currently running 2 well fitted, that will become 3 well fitted, and then the rest Impen. And then good old agility, all with weapon damage maximising on that burst. See what the sets are giving us. I'll buff up and we'll have a little look at the character sheet. We can see stat wise really high stam pool. This is great. Effects tooltips really positive in terms of your resource management and the actual amount that you've got to start with. A lot of people neglect that. In my opinion, stamina build, IMAX stam, very much needed. The health is a little bit low. Obviously it will shoot up in PvP, shoot up by around 5k, but yeah, you've just got to deal with it. You've got to dodge that damage, shuffle that damage, shuffling around those heavy players, and just get the burst. Stamina recovery 1692. On the back bar we have got 1858 because of the Werewolf Ultimate. 1858 is enough for me. You could run Overload, but I find it really clunky in terms of getting on, getting off. It causes so many problems, so I'd just rather have the Werewolf and the IMAX Stam. In terms of the magic recovery as well, it's not really there, neither is a max mag. If you want to go onto the Overload bar, you're going to get 1-2 streaks, maybe 1 Dark Deal max. It's not designed around that, this build. It's not really utilising that in a sense. Let's go up again. Weapon damage 3763, just absolutely fantastic in terms of the tooltips that I'm getting with this, with the 8% from the Slime Craw. Really strong. Can obviously buff up a lot more with the bow from 2 ways, so I'll just show that now. So obviously I've got the poisons on at the moment, but if I take the poison off, so we can see weapon damage at the moment 3763. I can do an heavy attack, and then I will get that buff there. Shoots up to 4374. That's only for 5 seconds, so not too great. And obviously then there's the buff from the poison inject that is, obviously you can't see that, so if I do the heavy attack with the bow and the poison inject, the 301 will not go on, but obviously it is there. It doesn't show on tooltips either, I don't think, or does it? I can't remember, but the 301 is there. I can test damage and I can show that it does stack. A lot of people say you've got to make sure the poison inject is on before you swap, so obviously I can see still 4374, but that will shoot up by another 300. In terms of how tooltips are looking when we do that, let's see, whoops, we have got Dizzy Swings 20k, and Dawnbreaker does buff to 20k as well. There we go, 20k, and really good damage over time. So really pleased with the stats all around. One last look. What I've not discussed. Crit, there's not much you can do with it. 33.1%. Take it or leave it. A lot of people are running Impen. You will get the occasional crits. I'm not too worried about that at this moment in time. Really good crit resist, and resistances 18k, 19k in my opinion. All you need, especially with your dodge roll, you've got the ability to move around, line of sight, dodge roll, shuffle. Lots of ways to avoid damage. If you do want to take a couple of hits, you won't be too squishy. Ulti dumps will kill you, you'll be gone, but this build can hold its own if played correctly, and it's not easy to play, but it's very rewarding when you get the burst down on someone. I'll just show the example from the poison inject that I was talking about earlier. So you can buff up in terms of just with rally. Stampede will give us 9802. So we can buff that up once with the... I've got poisons on? No, I've not. So we can buff it up once with the weapon enchant. That goes to 10600. And then we can also buff it up with the poison inject bow as well. So I'll try and get both of them at the same time. Actually, maybe do the other one first. So make sure poison inject's ticking nicely before I swap the bar. Crit shin. 11131, I think that was. So obviously that's missing on tooltips, but it is there as extra damage. Currently, the way I'm playing it, I really like just running the poisons, the double dots on. You can run it with the poisons, and then you won't get obviously the weapon enchant, but you will still get the buff that I've demonstrated from poison inject. So I mean, it's down to you guys what you enjoy playing with. In my opinion, the 452 for 5 seconds is not great. I'd rather take the 301. How long does that last for? Oh, the poison inject, of course. So 8-9 seconds. I would rather have that. And when the poison inject's ticking on them, you've got the dots ticking from the actual poison inject. Then you've also got the dots ticking from the dot poison as well, the double dot poison. So overall, that's just really putting a lot of damage into the player straight away. Putting them on, hopefully on the defense. That's what we want players to buckle under this pressure that we're putting on. Next, I want to talk about the reason why we run the axe. So we run the axe and we run it in Neuron for 2 simple reasons. The first one, we're stacking into damage. Why not ump that damage up even more? That's why we run Neuron. I am a fan of penetration. I am a fan of what you can gain from stacking into that. But in terms of the tests that I did, this came out as all around much higher. I had much better fun playing with it in PvP. So the axe, what does the axe give? The passive in the axe, if we go to skills 200, heavy weapons, swords increase damage by 5%, maces 20% ignore resistance, but axe 16% chance to apply a bleed, dealing nearly 14k over 6 seconds, and that is raw damage. The bleed ignores resistances, so a shielded target, if a sorc's warded up, it will still be bleeding, they'll still be ticking for that much. If, for example, it's an heavy armour with 30k resistances, you know, they're bleeding for what they're bleeding for. This is such good, true damage, it can't be beaten. For a while I thought that sword was better in terms of the burst potential, but if you think about your dizzy swing, you're adding 5% on your dizzy swing. That dizzy swing can be shuffled, can be dodge rolled. In terms of the proc, it is a proc. In terms of the 16% chance to proc this, you've got your heavy attacks, you've got your crit rush. Most of the time it will proc on crit rush, and they'll be dealing with the poison inject damage, the damage over time from the poisons, the crit rush bleed. At that moment in time, that is when you can capitalise on your burst with your 20k, well maybe less, like 18k dizzy swings into your execute to regen ulti. Lots and lots of burst options in terms of putting the enemy on the back foot and just getting them down. That's the way this build should be played. You're in, they're killed, you're straight out, you line of sight in, you're back on with it. Really, really fun build to play. So in terms of the skills, the 2H bar, we are running bound armaments. Got to be slotted on both bars, but I really, really like this. Increases resistances, 1, 3 to 0 resistance increase. Not really too concerned about that, but I do like what it does to the max stam. Increase max stam by 8%. That, along with the parts of the Undaunted that we get for the max stat increase, works really, really good. And you know, you're no Templar, you're not spamming any jabs, you've not really got anything spammable apart from Dizzy, which can be sometimes unreliable against good targets that know what they're doing, know how to defend, know how to dodge roll, they know how to block. You've got the 11% increase on heavy attacks, which you will be doing quite a lot of. Stampede, I chose this over Crit Rush just because of the damage it's doing. I mean, the buff damage is absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't really need any more. I prefer the 60% snare for 8 seconds. Makes it much easier just to keep that pressure on, keep on top of that opponent, keep chipping them away. Reverse Slice, much better than the other morph in terms of the splash damage that you can get. You could go the other one for 350% more, but the difference won't really be too much. Dizzy Swing, main DPS, just love hitting these people, whacking them on the back. As soon as they're up in the air, you want to be taking them one step back, and you want to follow it up with another crit rush into an execute, and that's a sort of rotation that you need to keep going. Rally, Burst Heal, a source of our major brutality for our weapon damage, and good old Dawnbreaker for the ulti. Nice and simple. Bound armaments, for a while I had this on the wrong button, but I've just realised it's much better just to keep it on square. So square is a button I don't press, I just make sure I've got it on, and then that's it, it'll look after itself. So we've got Hurricane, really, really good move, lots of good damage over time, really good resistances, and you've got your speeds as well, absolutely fantastic. Shuffle, I feel like we deserve Shuffle this patch, really, really great move. Medium users rejoice, no more heavy shuffles, they're taking that damage, they're taking them hits, they're dealing with it. Poison Inject, for a while I used to run the other morph, I liked the interrupts on it, a cheeky little jump, shoot, interrupt, but in terms of the burst I'm stacking, Poison Inject for me is the preferred option in this scenario. And Resolving Vigour, just main heal, you need to keep this up all the time, you need to watch your rally all the time, and just keep an eye on it, keep moving, risk it, let it tick down, let it drop, keep your vigors rolling, keep the pressure on. If it's played right, you can do really, really well with this build. I think that was everything. Yeah, and the Werewolf ulti, pack leader, doesn't matter which one you have. I have this one just for the extra stamina that it gives, the extra, sorry, not the max stam, the extra recovery that it gives while slotted. Your stamina recovery is increased by 15%. You could run Overload, I will show what I have on the Overload. I still do sometimes run it occasionally, but it's your call to make. Do I have ulti? Yes I do. So in terms of the Overload, I've got Streak, probably get 1, 2, yeah, 2 streaks, then your line of sight in. See, the magic is not there, it's not good enough for the dark deal. I'd rather keep off this bar. Very clunky, but other options, you've got Cal Traps, really good snare, you could line of sight, dodge roll, put that beast down, you're around the corner, setting up your damage. It's entirely up to you how you run it, but that also is an option. In terms of what I've not covered, let's go back into the character sheet. Boon, I'm running the Warrior for 2, 3, 8 damage increase. This is where it's flexible. If you find you've got enough damage and you're struggling with sustain, you could go for recovery. You could change that around with your glyphs. It's entirely your choice. WS Cameron Drink works really well with the Bone Pirate, and obviously got the Werewolf that we've talked about on the back bar, and the Minor Berserk there as well. So yeah, the last thing I'll go through now is going to be the CP that we're rocking on this build. I will attach some clips at the back end of the video as well and just narrate some of the examples of the burst, how you deal with different classes. I'll put that on at the end. So we're running 61 Warlord to get 21.18% break free reduce cost, 11% Sprinter. That's just the way these things land. I mean, I can't put any more in because the percentages, the increments become wasted. So you get more bang for your buck just by spreading them. So yeah, 11 Sprinter, 64 Mooncalf, giving us 13% more stamina recovery. Foul. The reason why I run this, I still need to do a little bit more testing, but I'm sure the disease enchant that you can proc on your main bar, on your 2H bar, that gives Defile, which decreases the healing reduction abilities, which would then stack with this. So you've got your Minor Defile there, stacking with this 21.6%. Works really great. In terms of the healing, it's minimalising that, so they're not recovering from your burst, and it's also really good for the choking users. A couple of patches ago that didn't quite work, but now if they've got crazy amounts in their health recovery, those crazy amounts are going to feel the blunt, because 20% of a little bit is nothing, 20% of a lot is a lot. So, you know, if they're running that health recovery, that's a good way to counter that as well. I've seen a lot of success against those sorts of builds. Generally just do outplay them in many situations. 72 into tumbling, dodge roll is just key. You don't want to use it too much, but you need it. It's really simple. Points are wasted anywhere else. I tend to prefer dodge roll over block. You could put some points in block, but I tend to dodge roll to get position on my opponent and to get that movement to set up the burst, more so than just dodge roll in attacks. Blue Tree, nothing in this one. You could run a little bit in Blessed, but I don't. I'm happy with my ills. Kill or be killed is the way I'm sort of playing this build. 61 at Master at Arms, really great. Buffs all the instant damage moves you've got. So your Dizzy Swing's buffed by this, your Crit Rush buff is buffed by this, your Execute is the first hit of the Dawnbreaker's buffed by this. Absolutely amazing. 61 there. This is where I've recently been testing and changing, and I really like this balance. 64 in Mighty, doesn't scale any better when you go past that, so just get past that that percent threshold for 13%. 34 in Piercing, just for that added extra penetration. I didn't go too crazy into this because I feel like a lot of the damage from the bleeds anyway isn't getting affected by this. So overall, I'm happy with what I've got in there. You will get the occasional crit, so 15% in precise strikes, can't hurt at all. And Thermitage, 14%. The way that scales is amazing, to have 34 in there and to have that 14% increase, which is working on your Poison Inject, which is working on your heavy attack bleeds from your 2H. Really great in terms of how the damage balances out. Red Tree, 51 into Ironclad. Gotta have it. In terms of the sort of what I would struggle against, good Nightblades can really outplay me so well. You need that defensive against that instant burst. 48 just for extra crit resist, and then we run. There's no cleanse on this build. You know, magic DKs can lock you down and really hurt you. So I like to run 32 in thick skinned. Generally struggle against stamina users more than magic users, so I opt for 56 in Hardy and 43 in Elemental Defender. Really important passive. Make sure you've got that Unchained there. As soon as you break free, that is when you want to be shuffling, in my opinion, or vigoring. Just one of the two. You know, your costy moves, that's what you want to get in there. And then nothing in this one. So here's just a couple of clips of some action in PvP. This is no way anything good, really. I've got a highlights clip of another video. That guy got fragged anyway, probably AFK, but it's just an example to just show some of the bursts. I mean, I'm trying to get these guys to come out of me. They're not really interested, but like 35k health target. You can see everything's on him. The poisons are on him, the bleeds are on him, the defiles on him there. Chipping away with the executes, get the kill. Almost get sniped at this point. But the ulti's back as well. If you think about in 1vx situation, that ulti would have been then reloaded, ready to go again. A couple of people sniping me and shit like that, but yeah, I'm just trying to bring these guys out, trying to do some 1vx. Doesn't really happen yet. And I've got a separate clip that's got a lot better footage on. This is just to show the example of some of the burst techniques you can use. I mean, these guys, they're outnumbering me, but they're not bothered. They want to do this siege, so we'll just leave them to it. But yeah, like I said, be sure to check out the other clips I've got of this build in action. 24k health target, poison inject, crit rush, Dawny, executes, and we're out of there. That's the end of the video, guys. Feel free to like, subscribe, and check out my other content.